Okay, we are back. Ralph here, Steve there. We're the Legal Help Live team. You're calling us at 1-800-405-4222. By the way, that's a toll-free number. That means you don't have to pay for it. We pay for it. It's our pleasure. You'd be asking us legal questions, getting legal answers on such topics as, well, we've already covered subpoena power in parking violations. We've talked about red light cameras already. If you've been run over by a truck, call us. We'll give you what legal rights you have. If you've been run over by a mail truck, you've got some different legal rights, and you've got some obligations as well.
How about if you go to a pharmacist and you give them a prescription, and you get the pills, and you always knew that the pills were pink. You get them home, it's dark. You take 3 or 4 of these pills like the doctor prescribes. They're blue. You found out they put the wrong pills in the wrong jar, but they've got the right name on it. You get violently ill. Can you sue the pharmacist? Do you sue the doctor who wrote the prescription? What can you do in something like that?
Excellent. And if you're in surgery and the doctor takes out the wrong kidney? Is that medical malpractice?
And who do you sue if you go over the fiscal cliff and get injured? Which I keep hearing the fiscal cliff.
Well, we don't know what's at the bottom.
Yeah, who knows?
We got some more calls. I think we should take some phone calls. What do you think? Okay, we're gonna go to the Valley and talk to Mark. Mark, come on and talk to us.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
What's
How are
happening,
you?
Mark? You sound so serious today.
Oh yeah, well it's a real bummer. About 30 plus years ago, I was in college, just out of the military.
What was your major?
My girlfriend, fiance.
Oh.
And I lived with several other guys. We all had, small, minor amounts of marijuana. And everybody was at class that day, and all of a sudden the house got raided. Well, because the doors weren't locked and everything collectively accumulated to more than 1 ounce, I got charged with a felony.
What state?
California.
All right, boy.
And here's the problem. I never found out during discovery phase that the person who sent the police there was actually my fiance, who had been arrested unbeknownst to me for selling. And in fact, she was the one who we usually got our weed from, right?
Right.
So they come in, they raid the place, and she had just been there not too long before.
You were living with a rat.
Yeah, well, you know what? I protected her.
You didn't marry her, did you?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you married to her now.
No,
well,
she broke up with me not too long after, mainly because of her parents and the arrest. And the irony is I protected her.
Okay, so then you took the fall.
I took the fall, and I only just found out from somebody who was gravely ill that the person who actually got arrested and sent them to me was my fiancée. So this whole time they had obscured the fact and did not make it transparent during discovery. I feel not only should my name be cleared, and it was also, when the judgment was, it was a wobbler of some sort, and
right,
that
so, yeah,
it wouldn't be a felony eventually, but somehow it never got.
Well, here's what you can do now.
Old Judge Gilbert in Pasadena, I think his name was.
Well, here's what you can do now. You can probably hire a lawyer for this, and you might want to consider doing that. But since the case was alternatively a felony or a misdemeanor, did you serve time on this thing?
No, I had a good, I wasn't a bad guy.
You pay a fine, and you were put on probation. Is that right?
Yes, sir. And I went along with all elements of the probation, and
how do you know it's a felony now?
Well, it was a felony, and it was called a wobbler by the judge. And if I adhered to the provisions of the probation, I was supposed to be reduced to a misdemeanor, even though it still, I believe it still affects my rights.
Okay, here's what you have to do. Whether you can set the conviction aside or not, I don't know. But there's a thing called expungement, and
yes.
You should, and you can make a motion to get to. First of all, you have to have the file pulled. It'll be in some microfiche place, someplace. Have to get the file. It's a public record. It'll probably take a few weeks to get it. Then you need to have someone look at the file and determine whether or not it was a misdemeanor that you pled to, or whether it was reduced down. If it wasn't, then you need to make a motion to expunge the record and reduce it down to a misdemeanor. Under the circumstances you're talking about that will probably happen on a misdemeanor, since you're finished with probation years ago, they can then expunge it, enter a not, becomes a not guilty, it gets dismissed, and basically for all purposes other than regulatory purposes, it's over. And
Mark, what do you do now?
Well, you know, I've actually been pretty well educated, and this has stopped me from getting federal jobs over the years. I've literally gotten 100% on I couldn't even get a job at the post office, even though I maxed out the test several times over the years. I was the highest placer in the county and stuff like that.
Well,
and it's just ruined I mean, these cops didn't even tell me it was my girlfriend, fiancé, who had actually facilitated this.
Another possibility, and I'm not saying this is really possible, but it is procedurally possible. You might hire an attorney and have a discussion with somebody who specializes in criminal procedure. It's conceivable that you could bring these facts to the attention of the judge, not just by your declaration, but by some other independent corroborating evidence, declarations, other people's testimony, and other documents that I don't even know if they exist or not, and you might have the conviction set aside altogether. That's possible.
Well, I think that's the fairest thing when you consider that detectives in their notes somewhere, they know that they arrested this girl and that what she did is she brought more over and left it there at my house where
Okay,
she left her clothes and all that other stuff.
You were set up, but the problem
I was totally set up. And how did these cops get away with doing such a thing? It's just egregious.
Problem is, this is sort of like old cheese, okay? The case is really old. It begins to smell.
Well, I only just discovered this. I had no clue. I was like the last person who ever
Mark,
thought this would be the case.
Mark, I don't think you should take this sitting down. Now that you've got this information, now that you're armed with these facts, I think that you should hire an attorney who works in criminal law, knows criminal procedure, knows how to make a motion to set this aside. It's going to require an intense investigation. It's going to require a lot of documents, a lot of evidentiary materials, files from the police department, perhaps statements from police officers, maybe retired police officers, other declarations and other documents. These things are going to have to be assembled in such a way that a Superior Court judge is going to be convinced that you were wrongly convicted in the first instance, that there were procedural and constitutional violations of your rights in the first place, and that now, 30 years later, your conviction should be set aside.
And
she's the one who brought ounces of weed over to the house, a couple ounces of weed, and left it there with her clothes as usual. And then the next day she came over, gave me a kiss, and said, "I'll see you later." And the next thing I know, cops are at my house in about 5-10 minutes.
you know, another thing is you might want to consider a pardon, which is another way to get the whole thing set aside.
Well, that's a whole political. How about the Freedom of Information Act?
Well, that may be part of how your attorney gathers information. And if you want to get a head start, you can do that too. You could ask for all the files, all the notes, all the investigative materials from the arrest that took place 30 years ago. You can start that process with the Freedom of Information Act demand, but eventually you're going to have an attorney who really knows his way around the judicial system.
I wouldn't even have the first clue of who to look to.
Well, I tell you what, we can refer you to the LA County Bar Association. If you want us to refer you to somebody else, there are a number of lawyers that we know of that do this stuff. Send us an email to legalhelplive@gmail.com, legalhelplive@gmail.com. Remind us of the conversation that we talked about, a little bit about the facts. We'll send you back an email with 2 or 3 lawyers you can get a hold of that do criminal law. Go in and get a consultation, and then see what they say.
I just can't tell you how this is just ruined.
Okay, well, I'm trying to
my chances of getting any kind of. I mean, I can't even get in the damn post office with
Yeah.
literally 100% on the test.
Well, I think there's things that can be done for you, and I think you should take advantage of.
Yeah, we can't reverse what's happened for the last 30 years, but maybe we can reverse that conviction. And
I hate to vent with you, you know, but I'm just so livid. I only recently learned about it, and I'm just
today's the day to start. By the way, tomorrow.
What was that movie, Fatal Attraction?
I'm a PBS watcher.
1-800-405-4222 is the number you call tomorrow to get your gift certificate for
Oh.
dinner for two at a restaurant of season my choice.
And the Gmail is legalhelplive@gmail.com. Legalhelplive, one word, @gmail.com. Remind us of this conversation on the air, and we'll try and get you to somebody that can help you out.
Well, thank you for the one positive reply I've heard on this issue so far.
Well-
Even from family, they said, "Don't turn over this stinky subject." You know, I'm just like, oh my God.
Oh, well, you got to
How
live
could it
your.
be worse.
It,
you know?
it may
No.
be worth your while to pursue
It
it.
can't get worse. You've already got the conviction. You've already got the stigma. It'll only get better.
Okay, gentlemen.
All right, Mark, thank you very much for the call. Good
Thank
call.
you much. God bless y'all.
Interesting issue. God bless you as well. Next call. Who's out there? Oh,
Michael, wherever you are, this is Ralph and Steve in space taking your call. How can we help you?
Yes, I got a question. If I got traffic violations, I got deducted out before, correct? And I was wondering, do the police have a right to search my home?
wait, you have a traffic violation.
Wait, there's a warrant
It's
outstanding.
gone to warrant because you did not appear in court when you were supposed to,
Yes.
and the police come to your house to serve the warrant?
No, I was wondering, do they have the right to have a search warrant
Yeah,
for my house?
okay. If they come to your house and they knock on the door and they got a warrant and you open the door and they come in and they say, we're going to arrest you, put your clothes on, anything they see in plain sight, they can bust you for those crimes based on them being legally inside of your house.
That's
But
technically that's not a search. That's what Steve said is plain sight. That means it's just right in front of them.
And if you're arrested in the car, they can legally search the car because there's a bunch of law that says they can do that. And they can pat you down for weapons. But they can't just come in with an arrest warrant for a traffic ticket and search your whole house.
Okay, that's.
But why
that's
don't
what
you
I was wondering.
why don't you get it cleaned up?
Oh, I got it cleaned up today because a neighbor said they were sitting outside my home.
Well,
That's why I was wondering, should they actually come in my home? I didn't get to see the guy.
Well,
So a neighbor of mine said they were sitting outside my home waiting for me.
well, they're not waiting on a traffic warrant. I don't want you to cop out on the air what you've been doing, but I bet you there's some other little things that you've been doing that they're either looking into you or someone else in your neighborhood. But if you've got traffic warrants outstanding, you know, you need to go into the court, find the public defender if they've gone to warrant, and figure out how you can get them cleaned up, either paying the fine or doing community service, because what happens, you get stopped for something else, and they'll arrest you on the warrant.
Okay, you cleared up a lot of things for me.
Say that again?
You cleared up a lot of things for me.
Okay,
I like
very,
that.
very good.
And call the 800 number that's on the screen, and you'll have dinner or lunch at a restaurant of our choosing, and that's the number. Call during normal business hours. Tell them you want a dinner or lunch on Legal Help Live, and have a great day. And I hope you don't get arrested. And if you're doing illegal things in your house, you better cover up, because they can arrest you coming in on a warrant if they see it in plain sight.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Michael,
Thank
you're gonna go to court. You're gonna take care of your warrant, and then you're
Yeah,
gonna
it
go out.
was a warrant for a DWI. That's what it was for.
Oh, that's much more serious.
Go find the
But
public
take
defender.
care of it. Take care of it, and then go out and have lunch on us.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thanks for the call, Michael. Interesting situation. You know what? It's time for us to take a short break, so we're going to do that. But then we'll be right back in just a moment or two. We'll be taking your calls right here at 1-800-405-4222, and we'll see you in a moment.
Stay tuned for more Legal Help Live.